So this is going to be a step-by-step beginner's guide on trading with the Webull UK app, which is an app new to the UK but very big in America. The reason why I chose to cover this is currently, as they're open in the UK, they are providing a lot of free shares when you sign up. So even with a very small deposit, you can begin to learn how to trade if that interests you. If you use the link in the description down below, you can receive up to 8 fractional shares, each worth up to $2,000 if you sign up and deposit, and also when you make your first trade. Because they're offering a lot of free shares, I'm going to keep updating the comment section down below for the best offer at that particular time. Remember, at the end of the day, any sort of investment will carry risk, and it is completely up to you if you want to sign up. But I do think that based on the free shares they're giving out, it is at least worth to some people something for receiving that bonus. So when you log into the app, the first thing that you're going to see is the feeds page, and that is not very important as a beginner investor, as all it really does have is the latest news on different stocks and shares. And I tend to find that you shouldn't really listen to the news. You should do your own research before investing in stocks and shares. And realistically, all of these headlines will be sensationalized, saying, you know, something's going to go up and down, when in actual fact, no one on earth really knows where the stock market is heading at all. So do take that into consideration before actually putting your money into a stock. Essentially, when you buy stocks and shares, you're buying a share of a company. For example, if that company is Apple or even something like Coca-Cola, these companies operate and try to generate a profit. And if a company is very profitable, it will grow and it will be worth a lot more in the future. So what investors try to do is they try to buy a share in the company now, hoping that in the future, that value of that share they have, which is a part of the company, will actually go up in value so that in the future, they can sell that off at a profit. Apps such as Webull focus on short-term trading rather than long-term investing, and it is worth mentioning that in the short term there is a lot more volatility. Over the long term, we're talking about 5, 10, 15, 20 years. Generally speaking, as a whole, the stock market does seem to go up in an upward trend. However, the reason why trading is still so popular is because it allows very few lucky individuals to actually make a decent amount of money in a short period of time. The majority of short-term traders don't actually make any sort of profit in the long term, because at the end of the day, no one really knows the short-term fluctuations. But nonetheless, people still want to trade short-term, and in this video, I'm going to show you, if you really wanted to do that as a beginner, what you could do on this app. So first things first, we want to go into the main part of Webull. So we press the middle button here. Once we're here, we can see the amount of cash we have. For example, right now you can see that my account is worth $85.44 here. You can see the total amount of cash I have is $79, and I have one position here in Palantir. And later in this video, I'm going to show you how to sell one of the holdings. And of course, you would want to sell at a profit. So currently there is a 2.98% profit. Let's hope that stays to when we start selling it. So what we really need to do after signing up is actually deposit money. And unfortunately, it is not so simple at a first glance how to deposit that. So once we go into the middle menu here, we can go into our assets, and then if we press detail here, we can see the change of portfolio for the last 5 days, 1 month, 3 months, 6 months, year to date, a year. Of course, I haven't had this account for so long, so if we go back to the 5 days, you can see the change in my portfolio value. So the portfolio is the total amount of assets you have, which includes the amount of cash you have and the value of your positions. For example, I invested very small amounts into Palantir. That has now become a position. That is something I own as a share of Palantir. And of course, the value of that can go down as well as up, but depending on which way it goes up and down, I can actually trade and make a profit or loss depending on my decisions. So anyway, when we scroll down here, we can see that we have these menus here. It says buying power, which is our BP. This is essentially how much cash we have, and as you can see, $79 in cash. What we want to do is to deposit. So if we go into deposit here, we can see this menu here. You can put in however much you want. For example, I can put in £1 right now. Then I press submit deposit request, and this will take me to connect my bank account. So the first time you have to actually connect your bank account, the second time it will already be connected. This should be a very secure transaction between the app, which is Webull, and your open banking or online banking app. So all I have to do now is to press connect bank account, and as you can see, you can choose from your bank on this list. There's a lot of lists of bank that are commonly used. I personally use Halifax and a few others, but my main account is on Halifax. Then when you do press that, it's going to connect to your bank. through TrueLayer, and this is actually an industry standard for topping up your accounts for multiple different brokers like Trading 212 and InvestEngine, so there's no worries there. So I won't actually do this as I've already connected it, but you follow the steps and then you can deposit as much as you want into your account. So once the money comes in, it's going to be under Great British Pounds, as I am assuming you are based in the UK. What you need to do next is that you need to exchange the pounds into US dollars, because this is a US based app. So far, all the stocks and shares are going to be denominated in the US dollars. So for that reason, you're going to need a buying power in terms of US currency. And then again, you can actually withdraw to your bank account from here. As you can see, I have 48 cents in which I can withdraw. This is because I sold something today, and it does take a few days after you sell something for it to settle in your account. So don't worry if all your funds are not showing up in fund withdrawal, they will eventually be settled and then you can transfer back to your bank account. But anyway, withdrawing is pretty much the same thing. You press withdraw here, you put in the amount you have. Of course, I don't have enough, and then you press submit withdrawal request and it will go to your connected bank account. As you can see, this is my connected bank account. So now that we have funded our account and we have enough money to place a trade, the minimum trade amount is going to be $5. So do keep that in mind. When you first sign up, you get 90 days of commission-free trading. So after those 90 days, there is going to be a small charge. So do bear that in mind too. So all there's left to do now is to find a company that we want to buy shares of, and I'll show you the basics as a beginner of what you need to think about. This app actually provides you with a lot of advanced features that as a beginner, I don't expect you to know about. So the easiest way to start trading would be to go into this part here called the markets. And then you have the magnifying glass up here. And then if you already know the company that you want to buy shares in, you can actually just search them manually. So I actually want to buy $5 worth in 2 companies. So let's start with buying fractional shares in the company 3M. So all I really have to do is press 3M. And the first one we see here says MMM. That is the ticker code. So every corresponding stock or share will have a 2 to 4 character ticker code. For 3M, that is specifically MMM. And this will make sure that you have the right company. With different companies and different stocks, they will have different ticker codes based on the fund that they are representing. So when we go into 3M, we can see that we have loads of options and loads of menus, and at a glance it is very, very overwhelming, I know. You can see the daily H and L, which are the highs and lows. You can also see the volume traded. So a high volume traded means that there is more liquidity within the markets. Because this is a stock market, you can only really buy something someone else is selling, and you can only really sell something when someone else is buying. So if there isn't a high enough volume, really you're going to be waiting in the market until your order is filled. You can also see the market cap for this company, which is $50.7 billion, which is very big. So the main thing I would say is the chart here. You can see the change in price over a 1-day period, 5-day period, 1 month, 3 months, 1 year, 5 years, and then the maximum recorded time period, which was since 1977. You can also change the line type. For example, a basic line type like we are now is easy to read, but also you can change this into candlesticks. And essentially what candlesticks are is that they show the range in the price movements over a selected period of time. For example, this is within a 1 minute time period. You can see that each candle bar is 1 minute, and that is how the price changed within those minutes. As you can tell, there is a lot of volatility with any sort of stocks and shares, so it is very risky. You can change this from daily and weekly. As you can see, there's all sorts of trend lines, but I would definitely not go in and risk and put your money into whatever company. I strongly urge that you do realize that your capital is at risk. There is a huge chance, if you don't know what you're doing, that you could lose money. Companies can go bankrupt and all sorts of other things can happen. Although technically you can hold these stocks for long term and become a long-term investor on Webull. Given all the features, it's not very geared towards that. It is more geared towards short-term trading, and there is a lot more volatility and you can lose a lot more money there. But anyway, additional options, you can see if you want to trade options, you can do that, but I'm not going to go into that in this video as I think it is not very beginner friendly. With options, you can lose more money than just trading normally, as you can start using leverage, and there are additional fees and things like that when you are talking about options. Furthermore, what I really like about this app is that for each company, or for most companies anyway, there is a news feed. For example, you can find out about the latest developments about 3M, for example, something about the CFO. You can see their press release and also dividend news and things like that. Also, you can actually see the predictions, so take this with a grain of salt, but you can see the predictions. For example, 50% on this company company are bearish and 50% bullish. You can even see analyst ratings. For example, 89% are saying hold, 11% are thinking it might underperform, and also analyst price targets, as you can see, maximum, average, current, and minimum. Take these with a pinch of salt, as realistically, even the best forecasts are always wrong. Furthermore, you can actually learn more about the company. For example, you can see their earnings release, their EPS, actual versus estimate, so you can see that they are underperforming currently. That is also probably why their value is going down. But yeah, they're not performing so well right now. But remember, the stock market is a forward-looking beast, so it doesn't really matter what's happening now. As long as you go through the company fundamentals, you understand its balance sheets, and you personally as an investor think that that company is going to go up, you can buy it, you can hold it, and then sell it at a profit. Let's change it back to line chart and look at the performance in the past year. As you can see, it is going down gradually. However, I think I want to hold on to 3M. I think personally that I want to, benefit from the low cost it is right now. All I have to do now is to press trade here. This gives me many different options. There are several different types of order types, and the market one is the most simple to understand. Whatever the price is at that particular time, whenever I press buy, that is how much I'm going to be receiving. The value of stocks and shares change all the time based on supply and demand. If there is a high amount of demand, then the value of that stock will be much higher. If the demand is low, then conversely, the value will be lower. That's how the stock market works, and any other market for that matter. So I want to actually buy this at the market price. Next, I have to put in how much of an amount I want. So as you can see, amount in is how much I want to buy. So the full value of a complete share is shown up here, which is $91.91. That's going to fluctuate as we look at it. So we know that a tenth of a share will still cost around $9.10. So we want even lower than that. So let's try to do 0.05. As you can see, the estimated total is $4.60, but the minimum amount is $5. So let's change that to 0.06. We can see that the estimated total now is $5.51 at the market price, which is currently $91.90. That might change when we press execute. Currently, there are no transaction fees or commissions because in our first 90 days, we do get 0 commission. Because we are already operating in dollars, there is also no foreign exchange fee. So all we have to do now is to press buy, and I will do that now. We have a confirmation screen. So as you can see, the amount is 0.06 as a fractional share of 3M. We also see the 3M logo here for the first time, confirming that it is in fact the 3M that we all know. Estimated transaction fee, as we can see, is still $0, and right now the US market is still open, so you can see that it starts at 9:30 a.m. and closes at 4 p.m. Of course, this is US time, 9:30 in the morning to 4 p.m. in the evening. Another thing to note is that you are placing a market order to buy, so this is a market order of 0.06 shares. Your order will be executed at the current market price. It also says, please note, if the order amount for the odd lot portion is less than $5, you will not be able to make that trade. So all I have to do now is press confirm, and just like that, the order request has been sent out and my order has been filled. As a confirmation here, we have 0.06 shares in 3M with no transaction fees or commissions right now. So now if we go back into the main menu here, we can see that we have 2 companies, which is 3M and also Palantir from before. So now my portfolio consists of these 2 companies. As you can see, one is worth $5.51. That's the one that we just bought in 3M. Palantir is worth $6.44. And for me right now, this is up by 2.98%. So what I'm going to do now is show you how to actually sell when a company is in profit, and then we're going to go back again and try to buy $5 worth of shares in Johnson & Johnson so that we can get the hang of buying something at not market conditions. We're going to be talking about limit buys and also limit sells. So all I have to do now is to go into Palantir. As you can see, it's plus 3% now, so we're really lucky. Once we go into Palantir, we can see that we can sell to close. So it is the quickest way to sell. This will sell at the market value. So currently we are up by 3%. So I personally decided that I want to get out of my position in Palantir. All I have to do now is sell to close, even though I can buy some more. And you might be thinking, why would I want to buy some more? Well, if the price of a company that you are really into keeps dropping, it can often be a wise decision to keep buying into that at the lower price, because in the future you'll be gaining a lot more from that. But anyway, let's try to sell to close at the plus 3% profit. So let's press this. We can see that we can actually sell at the market conditions, which will basically just sell immediately. If we wanted to, we can actually apply a stop limit, but I'll show you that with the next company. So when it comes to selling, there are are a few different fees. For example, you can see if I press here, there is no commission, but there is a trading activity fee of 1 cent. And then there is the fee for the SEC, which is the American Securities and Exchange Commission, which is basically the FCA for America. So anyway, let's press sell here, and then we can press confirm here. So order request has been filled out, and our order has now just been filled. And just as a confirmation, we did buy Palantir at 17.88, and that was a value of $6.26, and we have sold for $6.45, making us a very small profit, but a profit nonetheless. Remember to take into consideration the trading fee and the SEC fee, as that could often eat into your profit. So now when we go back to the main menu, we can see that we have our account value, which is $85.43. We also have our holding in 3M. As you can see, this has now dropped by 0.02% and now again up by 0.01%. As you can see, and as you can tell, short-term trading is all about trying to time the market in very short-term intervals. Within a day, within a week, there is a lot of micro fluctuations, and essentially if you're really into trading, you're trying to make the most out of those fluctuations. So a platform that offers no commission and very low fees is already a good start if you're trying to make small amounts of money. But realistically speaking, companies can go bankrupt pretty much at any time, and small increases in prices could also lead to huge decreases in prices. For example, if my company now drops 20%, it might take months to years for that company to actually go back to its previous value, if that happens at all. If a company never recovers, or if a company becomes bankrupt, you lose all the money you have in those shares as they become worthless. As you can see, I'm already speaking and it's down by 0.07%. Anyhow, I do plan to keep this long term, so I, as a longer term investor, do not really care about the small fluctuations. So let's go back into markets and try to buy some shares of Johnson & Johnson. So all I have to do is type in Johnson & Johnson, so I can just type in Johnson and it's the first one that comes up. As you can see, the ticker code is JNJ, and here we can see the 1 month price movement, which has seen a lot of volatility. So now I'm going to show you how you can buy something that is not at the market. For example, if you want to buy Johnson & Johnson, which is currently $150 per share, but you think that price is way too high and you are wanting to wait until it, for example, is $140. What you would want to do is to go into trade. So where it says order type, you want to do that as a limit. What that means is you're going to put in the maximum amount that you're willing to pay for a share of Johnson & Johnson, and if it ever hits that price, which it is not guaranteed, it will execute at that time and not right now, where the price is $150 per share. So for the purpose of this video, let's just assume that we want to buy Johnson & Johnson when it hits, if it ever hits $20 per share, as we think that would be a huge bargain and something we don't want to miss out on. We can type in the maximum amount we are willing to pay for a share in Johnson & Johnson. Let's go for 20, although it is incredibly unlikely that it will ever hit $20. But anyway, let's put in we want one share at $20 if it ever hits $20. As you can see, the estimated total becomes $20. Transaction fee right now will be 0, and the maximum shares I can buy is 3. So you can also specify what kind of trading hours you want that price to be hit. For example, regular trading is from 9:30 in the morning to 4 p.m. in the evening, like I said, but recently there has been extra market hours, for example pre-market and aftermarket. But realistically, it doesn't really matter if you're willing to pay a price for something and you think it's a bargain. It doesn't really matter when it's going to be executed, so I'll leave that how it is. So the next thing you can do is to specify when you want it to be executed. For example, if you are feeling specifically lucky on a single day and you think that you want to apply a limit order, but just for this day, if the next day something happens to the market and it does become $20, you don't want to the next day, you'll only want it this day. This can be a very useful option in uncertain times where, you know, the next day can be very uncertain. So if you only really are looking at price fluctuations within a certain day period, you can actually do time in force. So it will only keep the limit buy active until the end of the day. So here is day. After the market is closed, your order limit will actually be cancelled, or you can do good till cancelled. So if you think $20 is a bargain, and I do think it's a bargain, we can keep it open indefinitely, good till cancelled, until we cancel this manually. It will try to buy Johnson & Johnson for $20 per share, and then we can just press buy. It is telling me to be actually realistic because there is a large difference between my price and what the market price is. But anyway, we can continue. And here we go, confirmation screen, Johnson & Johnson, $20 a share, only buy one, good till cancelled. press confirm, and here we go, the order request has been sent out. Obviously it is not very likely that this will actually be bought because of course Johnson & Johnson is probably never going to go $20 or not anytime soon anyway. So going back into my main screen, you can see I have one position in 3M and then I have one order. So we can see we have an open order to buy Johnson & Johnson for $20 per share. We can also delete that if we want to. It's very easy to cancel the order or even modify that. So if you think that $20 is actually quite silly, we can change that to $40 for example, but I'm gonna just leave that there for now. So going back to assets, we can see that we can also apply limit sells to our open position in 3M. So if we go into 3M for example, we can press sell to close. We can also see other order types here. So we can apply a limit sell. So this limits a stock at a fixed price or higher. We can have a stop. When you set it as a stop, if the market price drops to the stop price, the market sell order will be triggered. We have a stop limit. So if you're trying to minimize losses, this could be useful. If the market price then drops to the stop price, the limit order will be triggered. Also, you can have a trailing stop loss. So when a market continues to increase, the stop loss will actually dynamically change with that. I would not use that as a beginner. I would only really use limit and market and maybe stop. So I would go into limit here. So sell a security for a fixed price or even higher. Let's say that when the price is $95 per share, that is when we want to sell our shares in 3M. Then we can input our quantity and then press sell. So as you can see, the quantity is much higher than the fractional shares I hold in 3M. So I'm not sure if this will actually go through, but let's press confirm anyway. So of course, the quantity of sell to close exceeds the available quantity of sell to close. So it looks like you can only apply these if you have whole shares in a company. So the best thing to do would be actually to try to sell it in the market, and we can do that at any time. For example, we are up by 0.01%. We can press sell to close, market, and then you can do fractional shares here. Bear in mind the transaction fees and then sell. I'm not going to do that right now because I don't think it is worth selling now. Better off to hold it in the long term. So make sure to check out some of my other videos and I will see you in the next video.